How to overcome embarrassing memories. That is what we are going to talk today. Recently, I put a post out on social media and I asked you guys to share with me what you're dealing with right now, what you're struggling with. Typically, when I record an episode, I kind of just share where I'm at and hope that something that I am experiencing, one of you is experiencing also. And um, I felt like it was getting a little bit redundant. Um, I felt like I was just kind of, saying the same thing in different ways or even the same way over and over. So I reached out to you guys. I reached out to this podcast community and I got really good stuff. And I do want to thank those of you that reached out and shared your intimate stuff with me because I know that it's kind of difficult to want to face those things. And so just bringing that to the light and being willing to hear some perspective on it is really big. And I think, the first step in attempting to overcome it because things, uh, the dark can't exist in the light. You got to bring it to the light and then it doesn't hold its power anymore. And, so one listener reached out and she said, how do I overcome embarrassing moments, embarrassing memories? She thinks about them in the middle of the night and then is up all night full of anxiety. This really hit home um, because, as I spent several years drinking myself into a stupor, and of course, chaos did ensue. I don't really feel like digging all of those things up and exposing them here, but there were things that I thought I would never get past. There were things that would just come up and it would just fill me with just this heaviness and this anxiety. Um, just dumb stuff I did or choices that I made or people that I was hanging out with. I feel like I could do an entire year's worth of stories just highlighting like my embarrassing moments or shameful things that I am absolutely not proud of. But I don't feel the need to do that today because I feel mostly at peace most of the time with the choices that I've made and the things that I've done. And I hope that some of the stuff we talk about today can give that to you, dear listener. So let's start with, I did a little digging. Why do we get embarrassed? Like, where does that come from? And what I came up with is the root cause of it is we anticipate a negative evaluation of others, like by others. We think that the image of ourselves that we want to project has been undermined and that it creates a negative impression of who we are. Like we're worried that they'll judge us. And in the process of that, we're actually judging ourselves. So let's actually look at that. Like we think that the image of ourselves that we want to project, who we know that we are and we want to show you we are, has been compromised because our actions showed a different version of ourselves. And we're worried that whoever saw that or experienced that is going to judge us based on that. But we don't actually get to decide how others perceive us, especially if these are people, if this is around your friend group, if this is around, your family. These people have several interactions with you. And this moment, this memory that you have is just one of many. So you are not just this one thing that you did. And if you are, then that is up to them. If they choose to judge your character based on your mistakes, then that's their choice. And you don't really have a say in that. But you continuing to judge yourself, you do get a say in that. Following me? So instead of trying to forget it, it may be helpful to accept it and even laugh at it. Now that seems really difficult because these cringe moments. Oh, I have so many. These cringe moments, they just kind of take over our nervous system. And so it can be helpful to talk to a trusted friend or family member, and especially one that can help you see the humor in it, not one that's just going to laugh at you. I'm a little bit guilty of that. I find a lot of humor in the dumb stuff that we do as humans as we find our way. But helping you find your own humor in it and go like, yeah, that was pretty silly. But that's not the question. Like, sure, it was silly. Sure, it was embarrassing. Otherwise, you wouldn't, be playing it over and over and over. Um, but you need to remember that we all make mistakes. And no one thinks about us as much as we think about ourselves. And this is something that I struggle with also. Just remembering that, like, that thing that I said or that thing that I did and playing it over and over, no one else is doing that because they're thinking about themselves too. They're over there doing the same thing. And if they're not self-reflecting, like, they're still focused on their own life and their own wants and needs and things that they have to do. And no one is sitting there playing the tape of you saying or doing whatever you think was so terrible. It's really okay to make mistakes. And a practice that takes practice is giving yourself that ability. Like, you don't want to just throw caution to the wind right away, but just being willing to go, oh, I screwed that up, and then move on. I'm sure you do that in other things in your life, like maybe a recipe or not meeting your own expectation. But embarrassing moments are just mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. So it's important to realize that it is in the past. And the past is gone. It lives in our imagination now. And it's really helpful to stay in the present moment, to do what you are doing, to be playing with your kids, to be working out, to be doing your work. Or let's say this is the middle of the night, like this listener. If there is nothing else you can do, if, the baby's there, or, you're not trying to get out of bed, you've got an early morning, try to think, like, switch your brain to think positive thoughts. Think about memories that you absolutely love. Like, try to just come up with, like, your favorite memory or your favorite vacation, or even focusing on the future and imagining what your day is going to be like, or, picture, the steps that you need to attain a goal. Just flip that switch to go to the next thing. And if it comes back up, flip that switch again. So it is okay to visit our past memories. It's just not okay to stay there. But our memories and our experiences, they kind of guide us, and they are a guidepost. So if there was some things that were involved, like alcohol, like in my case, you could really question your relationship with alcohol and, the things that happen when you do drink, and question whether it's serving your life, if you need to set some limits on yourself, if you need to, maybe remove that one factor to, limit if this is like an overabundance of embarrassing things that you're doing on a daily basis for 4 years while you lived in Las Vegas, like me. Or if these are just isolated incidents and, just little blips that you could turn into happy little clouds. It's okay to visit the past memories. Like I said, there's also an exercise you can do where you sit down and you list your top 5 most embarrassing memories, your 5 worst, and then look at each one and ask yourself, was it really that big of a deal? Like, did it actually, like, change or impact, like, my life or the lives of others? Like, was it the end of the world? And don't take this as uncaring, but if it didn't, then so what? Like, shit happens. You allow yourself to make that mistake. And then another frame of mind that, my mom offers this to me is, how would you treat a loved one or your child or your sister if they made that same mistake? Would it carry the same weight? Would you continue to go over it and over it? Or would you just move past it because shit happens? So remember that these feelings are based on what you think other people are thinking about you. So this is actually your own mind. And we have talked about this. This is your own mind creating these judgments. This is you beating up on you. And there's a mantra that you can sit and repeat either out loud or in your head. I am who I think you think I am. I am who you think. Wait. I am who I think you think I am. Because those are my judgments of myself. And that's also my judgment of you. Because I'm judging you as a judger without even knowing. Another exercise, and I don't encourage us to compare ourselves to others. I don't find relief in, well, at least I'm not as bad as so-and-so. But it can be, it can be lightheartening to compare notes or stories with others. If you want, I'm happy to sit down and compare embarrassing stories with you, just to feel like it's not that bad. Because also with mine, none of them were the end of the world. Not proud, but not the end of the world. It didn't hurt anybody. It didn't alter the course of anyone's life. It didn't ruin any of my relationships. Now, if your choices are ruining your relationships, if your embarrassing memories are, then like I said, you may want to look at that circumstance, look at that situation, and then look at the factors that are involved and see how you can use that not to beat yourself up and live in a shameful, guilt-filled world inside of your head and in your body, but actually how to move forward and not repeat those same things. Is there anything that you can do about it? This is something that I have to do often when I'm worried about something, is to make a list. This is what I'm worried about. And then 2 columns. And I love pen and paper. I write stuff down. I have a notebook filled. I have several notebooks filled. What can I control? What can I do about it? What can't I do about it? And then the things that you can control, have at it. Have fun. But if there's nothing that you can do about it, then this is living rent-free in your mind for shame's sake. And that can get really heavy. And you got plenty to do. You have a full plate and a full life and a beautiful future. So live in your future, live in your present, and leave the past where it belongs, in the past. I am rooting for you. I am here. Please reach out anytime, and I'd be happy to help any way that I can. If you are enjoying the podcast, please like or follow, and you will be informed anytime a new episode comes out or I post any content. I will be doing lives on either Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube every Monday at 2 p.m. And you're welcome to get on there, get in the comment section, post your struggles or whatever you're facing that you'd like to talk through. I'd be happy to help. Please let me know how I can help. And yeah, new episodes every Wednesday. So please tune in next week. You are so loved.